Yeah! Hello and welcome to this 1v1 ranked game on Two Lakes Duel. Today we've got Finest Soldier of Pilsudski. I did have to look this up. Pilsudski is, he was like one of the founders of Poland after World War One. So, you know, he's a hero to Poles, and he's not a hero to Germans, as you might imagine. And he's up against Frenchie, who's playing as 56Y. I forgot to mention that Finest Soldier of Pilsudski is playing as Polish Circle, which is the tank division. So we're on Two Lakes. Blue's on the good side, but he can't take advantage of it. So this is an interesting one. Sorry, I am a bit under the weather. I'm beginning to lose my voice, but I want to make these videos, so, you know, it's either no video or me with a crackly voice, so I do apologise. Some people sound like this all the time, you know. It's no excuse. Yeah, so basically, if Blue was forward deployed, he would get to Emma and Olga in more favourable positions than Red would at the same time, but I'm pretty sure Blue doesn't have any airborne forward deployed units. They're best bet are these guys with recon forward deployed. However, this car has special forces, so it goes faster than 100. It goes at about 120. It's about 20% faster. So, yeah, it's actually going to be quite a tough game for Polish Circle because Red's going to get to both these towns and Polish Circle's going to get beaten up. I haven't actually seen the game, but I think 56Y is too strong. There's a few reasons for this. They're the only unit in the game, the only div in the game that gets a card of 1-vet grads. Like 1-vet regular grads, so the grads are just better than everybody else's in the game, better than tank divisions, which is a bit weird. Anyway, the division just basically does everything. Like it's like an infantry division, and it's got airborne guys, or you know, very good infantry, but it's also got BMPs and stuff. I'm trying to clear this crackle. I'm drinking the water. It's not getting better. I'm not sure what to do really. I can't. Just gotta cope. So, anyway, Red. 56Y rushing in here at the start with the Spetsnaz Gru Stinger. So these guys, there's only 4 strength, but they've got really good RPGs. And they've also got Stingers. And they've got Smoke. Smoke was added relatively recently. And that's very, very useful because that means that you can get yourself out of there. Very, very useful. And behind that, he's got 3 Razvedka BTR 60 PBs with motorized Razvedka in them. It's interesting that this one's going there. That's quite aggressive. We'll see if he makes it. Behind that, he's got Metis, which he hasn't pathed. Afghansky, which he has pathed. Afghansky are it's like a really good anti-infantry squad, so it's got RPOs and, you know, DMRs are basically like 2 MGs, so they've basically got 4 MGs, and MGs are like 2 rifles, so they've basically got 8 plus 5 rifles, which is 13, quick maths, and they've got an RPO, so it's a really, really good squad for 60 points, but no anti-vehicle capability, but, you know, then that's why you bring these guys and these guys, so... Yeah, and then Conkers. So the Conkers is going there. So I think that is really aggressive. We'll see if he makes it. I mean, you'd be better off going for this building, really, anyway. But whatever. Or here, and then see if he can move up. But we'll see if he makes it. And then 3 homosexuals with the... yeah, so they're going over here and over here on the sides. Once you get to here, it's basically game over for Blue. So this is going to be pretty rough for Blue. And then to make sure that nobody gets into Olga, he's got Conkers going for the church. Religious people can see further than atheists. So, like, look, an atheist can only see this far. Religious person can see a lot further. Farmers can also see really far as well. So this is a farmer building full of farmers. And then, you know, the atheists next door, they can't see as far as the farmer race. So then they've got some orcs, which is like a 10-man squad without an RPG. They do have security, which is interesting because it means that they get +1 rank of optics, so they actually get good optics when they're stood still. So he's actually not put that in the church, which would be a great place for it, because then they can use those optics, or put them here. He's actually just put it back here, which is a bit odd, actually. And then he's got 2 motorized Razvedka, and they're going to some forward buildings. And then, yeah, CV for Paul, Olga. The Belazor is like a... I'm trying to remember now. Oh, no, it's just a car one. It's just a car. Switching to his opponent's deployment, we've got Polish Circle. I'm going to assume he's bought a lot of planes, because there isn't too much here. Anyway, so they get a car called a Honker, which is really funny. And that's going over here, and honestly, we'll see how far he makes it, because now that we've got these special forces units with the recon forward deployment, I'm not sure how they compare to airborne forward deployment without it. So this is, 3,534 meters, a nice round number. Like, why not make that 3,500? Why is it 3,534? Anyway, and this is 2,473, not 2,500, 2,473. But it goes 20% faster than this one. So, shall we try and do some maths? Everybody skips this part anyway, so it's not a problem if I mess myself up. Let's say it's 2,500 meters, and he's going 120 kilometers an hour, right? So that he's going 20% faster than this one, which is 1,000 meters ahead. So you've got to cover 1,000 meters, right? Divided by 20, but it's 20 kilometers an hour. What? How could it be 20 kilometers? How could it be 100 kilometers an hour? Oh, kilometers, not meters. I'm so stupid. So you got to cover 1,000 meters, right? And you're going 20 kilometers an hour faster, which is 20,000 meters in an hour. Okay, so if you're going 20,000 meters in an hour, that means that you're going 333 meters a minute, which means you're going 5.5 meters a second faster extra. So if you've got to cover 1,000 meters, and you just divide that by 5.6, right? So it will take you 180 seconds to make up the difference, which is 3 minutes. But this does not take 3 minutes to happen. So yeah, this is not catching up to that. There you go. We've learned something today. We've all learned something today. And then, yeah, so he's got that, and then he's got the BWRs, which are... That's weird that these get smoke. Because the BMP ones, the BWP ones, the Polish... He's not bought any yet, but basically the Polish IFV, which is a BMP one, doesn't have smoke. The BMP2, the BWP2, does. But it's weird that the BWR, which is a BMP1, does have smoke. I'm sure the history guys know what they're doing. It doesn't really matter, but it is interesting. Anyway, we got some Paicho to ZMech, so this is just like ARM rifles, except they trade 1 MG for a better rocket launcher. And 1 Saperzi. So these guys are really interesting because, like, the Polish sappers in general are really interesting because they've all got RPGs. They're not very good, but they are existent. I'm really sorry about this, guys. And so they can defend themselves against vehicles. Then he's got 2 BMP2s, and you see how defensively he's deploying them. Yeah, I mean, so basically if you put him here, then the guy that's there starts shooting you. But yeah, he'll probably repath them when stuff starts shooting. Then he's got 3 tanks, and he did bring the recon. So that this exceptional optics tracked recon is very important because these bundles of sticks have good stealth. So once it gets into the forest, you can't actually see it, even though it's shooting at you. So you really need these exceptional optics with your tanks. So this is going to be really interesting because he's got a lot of armor here. The T-72 M1s very strong for their price. A bit too strong, some would say, including me. Although it's kind of weird that the East German ones get Resolute on their tanks, and the Polish ones don't. But I think the cost is very similar. I'll have to look that up. How much is the... Because the Resolute really helps. It makes you take less suppression and stuff, keeps you in the fight, also improves suppression regeneration. So it's basically if you've got a this is Vet 2, but if you had a Vet 1 T72 and it was Resolute, it's like being Vet 1.5. It's not quite Vet 2, but it's better anyway. Yeah, so three of those. This thing, which is a Shilka in Polish, so they call it a Zilka, and a Cub. And no supply for that. No supply. I guess he couldn't afford it. But yeah, he'll need to get some supply up for all that very quickly because he's going to get smacked about by planes. But because this has 17 armor, unlike... Oh, no. Unlike the Leopard 2s that the Germans get, which have 16 despite costing way more points, it can survive one shot from a 30 AP missile. Every single AT plane in the game fires a 30 AP missile, so that's a very important distinction. And then on the left, we've got Zmot Zwyad, and another bundle of sticks. This time a less mobile one, which honestly I disagree with. I think he's wasted some cash there. Although, actually, I don't know if he's got a transport one anyway. Yeah, because you notice this is 40 points, right? Whereas this is actually 75, although you get a 20-point rebate. And a lot of that is to do with the stealth of units and buildings. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I wish I could fix it. I don't know how the editing process, obviously I do a lot of editing, will help fix it. And then he's got Malyutka P, which is 55 points, right? So I think he should have just bought two of these. And then he would have saved, or even just one of these. Although, it's kind of risky, because you don't know where the enemy's going to end up. There's Zmot Zwyad, yeah, it makes sense to have 3 units here. So... He could have swapped this. He could have swapped this out for putting this there. It would still help against guys coming this way. And you know this. Yeah, you'd be fine with that one there because that would be covering that, and this would be covering that. Sell this and buy yourself some supply. Maybe even 2 supply. Anyway, I'll cast the game, and we'll do it from this perspective. Right, so they're off, and it's time for me to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. There's lots of them now. I really do appreciate it. It's a great way to support the channel. I will be unemployed as of the 14th of February, 2024, and I still will not have submitted my thesis because I'm doing a PhD, by the way. Most of you already know that. Because I played too much Warno, and now it's not going to be ready in time. Oh, okay, so you actually... maybe my calculations were wrong. You see that it's faster, right? So that actually did stop that, but it, you know, would it have done that anyway? Either way, the Escortini fires its long-range missiles. So, yeah, these 4 men are the finest soldiers of Pilsudski. Oh, okay. Average Polish interwar experience, I suppose. Yeah, so but they bought a lot of time there. All this would be right in there if they hadn't done that. So this thing, it doesn't have smoke, but it's all right. So then, yeah, so Polish Circle doesn't get long range ASFs. It just gets these guys, which has what looks like it's a really bad missile. Look at the accuracy; it's not great, but it's a cheap plane, so it makes it's dead. So anyway, the crucial thing is, so obviously Red is in the zone, and he really needs to send this CV up straight away. That should have been done already. The crucial thing is he's secured his resupply route, because if a blue has secured his resupply route, right? Because if Red gets to here and to here with the ATGMs, it's just so over. It's even more over than previously thought possible. So Frenchie really needs to be capitalizing on this right now, because with all these armored assets, he's in serious danger of being pushed out. It might take a minute, it might take 5. And all that time, he should be ticking. He should be ticking. But he ain't. Although he is, because there's no CV for sign. So that's not great, mate. But yeah, that's sort of to be expected. Here we go. 30 AP missile. What are the coincidences? What are the chances? Oh, did you see how it didn't kill it? I'm just so smart at the video game. Anyway, he needs some... So, this is the infamous, very old school, Cub-Shilka combo. So, the idea is that the Cub deals 9 damage, the Shilka deals 1 damage, and this used to be a very big deal. But Shilkas are now only 30 points less than Cubs, and with the suppress on miss features and so on, what's usually better is just the 2 Cub combo, especially considering... So Shilka's got a lot more expensive, and worse in some ways. And Cub's got... oh no, bailed out crit on the tank. There's too much to talk about, but you can see that the tanks are slowly pushing him out, and he never moved up the CV, which was bad news. The Cubs are now 4 per card, and near misses on these things, near misses on the missiles now suppress units. So he's going for the bailed out one, which honestly is a mistake. But oh, that's been mismicroed. Or he went for the helicopter instead of the plane. And okay, so this one is going for the plane. But you see that those long range missiles, they've only got a 45% accuracy. Honestly, this can just kill that. Well, okay, no, it can't. I thought it had the AA missiles. I'm sorry, I'm a bit under the weather. You can probably tell from the way I sound and the way that I bring it up every 10 seconds. So, Frenchie has made a really big mistake here. He got in early. He did a good job of getting in early, right? Getting pushed out can be a bit of an inevitability, but I really do think he should have put an ATGM here, so trying to come down to here. And yeah, maybe an infantry unit in here, and not just 2 long-range ATGMs. But he did get in, and all this time he should have been on a +5, +4 or +5. Anyway, this guy overstayed his welcome and did actually die to a molding mix. So he... Oh, that's a 56Y plane, never mind. So this is a pretty decent plane, because, like, look at this missile. It's got the same range, but it can also shoot helicopters, and it's fire and forget. And it's 65% accuracy instead of 45. But hey, maybe there's still a case to be made for the Cub-Shilka combo, because the suppressive effect of the Shilka is a lot higher than the suppressive effect of the Cub. But me, personally, I like the idea behind the Cub's superior range, because if you shoot 2 Cubs at an enemy plane, unless it's high vet, it will rout. If it's a vet 0 plane, it will rout from 2 misses of Cubs. Obviously, a lot of planes are vet 1. I need to do more testing. I'm not sure if a vet 1 plane would get routed by 2 Cubs. Hopefully this shoots that. No offense, Frenchie. There you go. You see the bar's half full. So yeah, 2 would have routed that. 2 would have routed that. So 2 Cubs. Great combo, because they rout enemy planes before they drop their payloads, whereas this is more of a revenging tool. Something like a Gepard has really good anti-helo range, but this doesn't. The Shilkas and the Briusas are really weak in their intended role, but they're really good against infantry. So it's kind of odd. So that's why it costs 80 points. Because it's an anti-infantry device in the AA tab. So... yeah, I mean, is it balanced? Obviously, Gepards are better, and they cost the same despite being way better. So I would be in favour of a point reduction for the Shilka, or the Zilka, as they call it in Poland. So a bit of a build-up period now. Blue has managed to force the enemy back, and now he needs to... To be honest, what he should be doing is sending 1 unit forwards to see what's going on, because there's actually nothing to stop him here. So you just send 1 unit forwards. Having said that, he doesn't actually have any high HP infantry. They're all almost dead. So great micro from the finest soldier of Pilsudski, because he actually managed to keep all these squads alive. This has just finished repairing most of them. But yeah, he should send 1 guy forwards and just see what's going on. Even like one of these, it's 30 points. You just send it up to here. And you're like, look, nobody's shooting me. You send it up to here, and it's a great way of doing things, because then he would have taken all this territory. Obviously, he might have to fall back again, right? and it costs you 30 points, and you can get a pretty good return on your investment, or you can just get blown up, right? The reason he's not doing it is because he assumes that there's, if I was in his position, I would assume that there's somebody here, and I would assume that there's somebody here, but obviously we can see everything. So the thing is, though, 56Y is a good division with lots of great late game options, but the hardest part of the game for 20th Polish Circle is now over. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm ill, and hopefully I'll get better. But yeah, so now this is here, right? And so he's missed a bit of an opportunity there. And I speak about this a lot in my games because it's true. And basically, the idea is if you have 200, let's say it's 250 points a minute. I know it's 260, but 250 makes the maths easier. If you killed all your enemies, you've got 0 units left, and you've got 500 points of units left. And then 1 minute passes, you both get 250. He's now got 250, and you have 750. So you have 3 times more units than him. Great. Obviously, before that minute, you had infinite times more units than him, but you know what I mean. 2 minutes pass. He's now got 500 points, and you've got 1,000 points. So now you've only got 2 times more units than him, right? Let's say 10 minutes pass. So you would have 3,000 points in units, and he would have 2,500 points in units. And all of a sudden, that advantage you have doesn't matter anymore. So that is something to consider, and why you should try and keep the momentum up. It depends what division you're against, but well, actually, it doesn't really. For the low price of 30 of points, one Scott, he could have just gone up here and just seen what's shooting me, nothing, great, and then moved up into it. So now he's buying the grads. Polish divisions are interesting in that I think all of them get 2 cards of grad, which isn't as good as the 56Y scenario, where they get 1 card of 1 vet grads. Hopefully he brings them so I can show you the difference in reload time, but basically, this goes down to like 80. Is it 80 after 2 vet? Yeah, I think it might be 80 after 2 vet. Either way, if you've got a CV here not doing anything, you click this, click F, click on this, and then this will start reloading way faster, and buy a supply with it immediately, because you want it to be reloading immediately, because this timer starts when the first piece of supply hits it, or if it's, if it's an RM70, it's still got a spare volley in it, then the time will start immediately, if it still has that spare volley. It's a really good grad strike, by the way, and just a poor deployment of units from Frenchie. Like, the fact that he's not actually put anything in here is really weird. He probably thinks blue is there. So yeah, he should have had at least 1 unit here. 1 unit pushed up to here. The Conkers would probably be the best bet. Well, would it against T-72? Probably not, actually. Yeah, the motorized Razvedka with the recon would have been the best bet. So, yeah, it's going to be rough for Red now, but all he has to do is defend. So there you go. Obviously, if it hits, it routes them, right? But so, good play from Polish Circle, although he has overextended a bit. There's only Strelas here. And yeah, that fighter shouldn't have gone for that, really. He should have known the Cub was here because it shot him before. He obviously didn't know that there were 2, because that one hadn't shot yet. So yeah, this is now not reloading yet. So that timer is very sad, right? Because that's a waste. It's a waste of resources. He spent all that money. So has he got more? Cool. So another advantage of the Polish divisions is that all their mortars tend to come in Scott 2s, which is a wheeled armored vehicle, which makes them very difficult to counter battery without sacrificing mobility. So usually they come in cars, right? Like the we're about to see it, the Star, but I think the UAZ is probably more common. Here we go. This is smart. I mean, realistically, you'd want this going first, and this definitely with it at least. But you'd want this going first because it's a nice empty recon vehicle, because this guy does have an RPG and he will definitely one-shot that unit. So these are orcs. They come in the melter. It literally looks like a Warhammer 40k vehicle. That's why I say orc. It's not because I'm a racist. Some of my best friends are Warhammer 40k enthusiasts. And so now, yeah, so that actually did kill that front unit, and that's a big shame. And big credit to Pilsudski's finest soldier for bringing a tank up here and putting it there and anticipating that this would happen. You should anticipate that, right? You've just won this zone. Chance of him getting back in is very low. You've got to anticipate that he will come for this. So that is very sensible. Here we go, 30 AP missile. Obviously, you know, this one smoked, so we didn't get to see it. And it's lost less than 1 HP, so it should still survive at this if the second round hits. This is a pretty incredible plane, because this is 50%, or 56, because it's upverted, at 4,225 meters, whereas the other one is 3,500 meters. And so, yeah, hopefully it hits it, so I can tell you how right I was. Although, well, okay, now he's just... I mean, that was... Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't overkill. That was not overkill. Although, having said that, the rockets would probably finish it off anyway, so I guess that was overkill. Although this might have missed. Either way, this should have gone for this, and he knows it's there because it's shooting at him. And, yeah, Pilsudski is having a tough time here. I mean, if I was him, this would be coming over here and using that mega range, 2,625. Instead, his efforts are going over here, where he's put up a smoke wall, which is... So this is smart, because there's usually a guy in there. I'm not actually sure. I think he can actually still shoot out of it, because of the smoke only covers the base. So I think you would have to smoke here, and not on the base of it. I think smoking here would cover you. Either way, there's actually nobody in there. So yeah, he's smoking here doesn't actually make sense, because if you've got the long-range fire support, smoking here just means you can't shoot. Having said that, these are 2,800 meter range ATGM missiles, so what he can do now that he's pushed up to here is move this smoke to here, because if he moves into he's just going to get smacked around by RPGs. That went for BWP2, but yeah, that's a really good trade, taking out the Cubs. He's still not resupplied that grad, and now Frenchie's moving in here. These rocket planes are really quite good, because they're quite cheap, and the damage on these isn't great, although the accuracy's gone up to 40%, literally used to be 10%. So, the main thing is that it resupplies in 16 seconds. If you evac it straight away, otherwise the fuel starts playing a part. This auto path here is just not fantastic at all. This is not Pilsudski's finest moment. If he just said that here, that would have been fine. Oh, man. You hate to see it. But, you know, his attention is being drawn elsewhere. There is a big fight happening over here. It's easy for us to point and laugh at the mistakes. How many of us would truly be able to pull off something so fine? So, yes, the smoke is now fading. And, oh, okay, it's back again. I mean, I feel like he would have won the fight against the tanks, but obviously he's now got this problem where he's just getting shot in the sides and everything. So, yeah, driving into that smoke, not fantastic. Yeah. Red, I mean, basically both players' purchasing power is now split between these two fights. Red, really, I mean, Frenchie needs to put some CVs in some zones. He's got this. He just needs to drive that in there. It's the same with this as well. He'd be on such a bigger lead right now if he bothered to do that. But he didn't. And Pilsudski needs to be using his RT. He spent all this money on artillery. That's basically 2 minutes worth of income on RT. And he's not firing any of it. He knows where the enemies are because they're shooting him. He can definitely hit some targets. Also, this guy should be in this building. Then he'd actually be able to see the CV. As you can see, he'd be able to see that. So that's a shame that that's not there. So BMP2 here, I mean, you'd want to put it back here, really, so that it could use that ATGM. Like back here, I suppose. Yeah, back here would be perfect. But yeah, Blue managed to hold the zone, and once again, Red got nothing for it. He even killed the CV. If he'd had that in there, he'd be on a +4 now, because that's a +2. He'd be on a +4 now. So just lots of situations where, like, if you spend all your points trying to get into a zone and you don't have a CV with them, especially with CVs being so cheap now, they used to cost a lot more. Obviously, car ones ended up coming back up a bit, but yeah, this literally used to be 100, but you can get like 40-point CVs and stuff like that now. I don't know if 56Y gets access to those, but yeah, it's a big shame. These guys should be moving up and shooting that in the side instead of letting the BMP2 do the shooting. But yeah, Pilsudski's finest soldier has managed to retake Sign. POLSKA GUROM! So these things are funny if there's like literally no AA to hit them, because this will just be back in like 40 seconds or something. I know this says 16. It's just there's something about the ability to speak and remember what you're saying and not being an 80-year-old man who can't remember things. So yeah, pretty yikes here from Blue. Everybody's dead. So hopefully this T-72 can stop the breakthrough. And he really needs to reinforce this, but basically he was caught off guard, right? Because this happened, he had to resupply that. So I don't really blame him. But yeah, this part where he smoked and then ran into the smoke with all his tanks, that was not ideal. Smoke really can cut both ways. It's a very hard thing to use properly. I wouldn't claim to be the best smoker in the world. You know, my dad told me when I was young, he said, son, I've been smoking since I was 12 years old. I've been smoking for 35 years. Was it 35? Might have been 30. Don't smoke. So, but yeah, smoking has lots of advantages, right? So, for example, if that T-72 was smoking, it wouldn't have been smacked by an AT missile. It got hit in the side, by the way, that's why it got one shot. But that Cub getting 2 hits off, although there were 2 Cubs, so whatever. I don't know if this was actually resupplied. Either way, what happened to that CV? Oh yeah, I just got killed by that. Man, I am losing it. Sorry, I am a bit under the weather. But not that I've been trying to exploit that and blame all my problems on that or anything. So, Pilsudski, for all his valiant efforts here, is actually in quite a difficult position now, because he's in the exact same position he was in 10 minutes ago. And now there are 10 minutes left in the... there's 10 minutes less left in the game. And now he's not got his army. So he's got to build up his army again. And he's finally got this grad going. You see how this is only 50% reloading bar? Because this timer only starts from when the first supply hits it. So he's missed like 3 grad volleys by not doing that, roughly. By not resupplying it straight away. He's missed about 3 grad volleys, maybe even 4 if he had a CV next to it. Imagine how much better a position he'd be in if he had 4 grad volleys. If you remember all that infantry that was there, he wouldn't have had to send the tanks in. He could have gradded it and then sent the tanks in. Might have had a better chance. Generally, you don't want to be sending the tanks in at all. Should have had an infantry in there, but certainly once the infantry engages, you can bring up the tanks to support, especially something as armoured as this. And, imagine if he'd been able to hit all that as well. So just if you buy artillery, you got to think like an economist, right? If you buy something, you got to use it. Otherwise, it's wastage. Wastage. Opportunity cost, Is it opportunity cost in that case? Anyway, both sides have not played 100% perfectly. And that's Warno. Nobody ever plays 100% perfectly. So this could have been done a while ago. So he's destroyed that, which is cool. But the problem is now there's like 4 more here. So yeah, so he's got to start hitting the rest of them too. But yeah, he should really be gradding. Should be gradding all this, getting some infantry back up to here. Put it here. You've got the tank covering you. You run across here. The game's all about flanks when you're attacking, even on a map as narrow as this one. If you run at your enemy's face all day, sure, maybe you'll win. The best way to win is to side-shot his armour, because 17 or 6 makes a big difference. Even something like this has 2 front armour and 1 side armour. Yeah, you see that? I mean, they both hit, which is annoying, because I was hoping it would miss, so we would see if the suppressor misrouted him. It might not have been enough, to tell you the truth, but we didn't get to see because it hit him. Because it suppresses it as it travels past it. So we would have got the, we didn't see the maximum suppressive from missive thing. So now it's time for Red's counterattack. Power to Red, very, very much power to Red, counterattacking. He doesn't actually have to. It would be more optimum for him to just sit there for the next 20 minutes. But he is attacking. One thing I am a bit miffed by... Oh, yeah, so I really like this counter battery with the Dana. That was immediate. Very smart. Very smart. Should put it slightly to the left so we could try and hit both. But either way, this is how you deal with the smoke. You just hit the thing counter batterying you. And he should not have sold his transports. Anyway, he can always unload these and use the transports from that once these get in combat, whatever. What was I saying? This guy should have bought a grad at some point, or that cluster mortar thing. But the grad, if you're going into this, imagine if he'd gradded this first. That would go so much better. All these guys would be low cohesion. But instead, he's, he will probably win this early fight because his infantry is just better. But he could have made this a lot easier for himself, basically. Also, these tanks need to be moved up to here. He is lacking man pads. Oh, that did get routed. It got routed without the Cubs hitting it. There you go. So instead of buying that, he could have bought a grad, but that would have helped a lot more. This grad should be shooting here right now. Obviously, I suppose he's missed the moment. I do like having the Wilk here. Another thing you can do is put the T-55 on this road, like turn off cover. Just have it here. Rockets come out. There you go. 2 missiles, suppressed, routed. 1 vet. So I don't know if a 2 vet one survives that, because that would be interesting. Anyway, he's bought the cluster mortar now, but all his guys died. Mainly because of the supporting assets. The actual infantry fight didn't really happen. Basically, you never want to be in an infantry-on-infantry fight. You always want to have supporting assets coming in. If they're in the forest, just chuck a howitzer at them, right? That was going for where the AA was. So yeah, different missiles suppress different amounts, and it depends how close it gets and stuff like that. So it's not really a hard and fast rule. Anyway, he's bought the second grad. He really needs to put CV next to this. There we go. Grad in that. Very smart. He's bought the cluster things now. But yeah, I admire Frenchie's, what do they call it? Elan? That's definitely a word. They call it Elan. And it was like the spirit of always attacking in French. Elan. French. Yeah, here we go. So it's to throw forth. So I'm a big big fan of Elan. But yeah, that was like a France 1914 style Elan, where they all just died. But I like the smoke. I thought that was cool. But anyway, once again, he's attacking straight forwards into his face. What he should be doing is first you take this. He's got up to here. That's very good. But yeah, you take this as well. And then you can attack into here with fewer things shooting at you, right? This makes a really cool sound. So yeah, Polish Circle's now got a lot of RT in the party, and he will probably get this. I mean, he seems to have vision on it. How's he done that? No, he doesn't. Okay, never mind. I don't know, that was a weird bug. Or maybe it's a brain bug, right? The cluster thing, really, really good. Really, really good unit. The way I would nerf 56Y, if I was asked to do it, is... There you go, you see. I would reduce the... Oh man, he's got these! Where's the grad? I would reduce the veterancy on these units. Like, almost all VDV artillery comes in at 1 vet. And that means that these VDV divisions, which generally people are in agreement are in 1v1 overperforming, all 3 of them, I think that's a great way to sort of nerf them a bit, because all you're doing is reducing the fire rate effectively, of their artillery a bit. And they can always put a CV next to it to get that 1 vet. It's just right now they can put a CV next to it to get that 2 vet. And, you know, I feel like Armoured Division should have better artillery. Infantry Division should have better artillery. I know the VDV structure is different in that they do really like, oh, mate, is he going to move this? So the advantage of this is supposed to be that it's wheeled, but it appears to have tracked speed despite being on wheels. I'm going to have to report that. I'll get it fixed, don't worry. Let me just make a note of that. It's because there's no other wheeled howitzers, right? So they've just not noticed it. But yeah, I mean, especially, obviously, you got that SPG-9 there. It was a brilliant shot, but especially if you're hitting a town like this, a grad would just be so much more useful. And once again, we're just seeing Pilsudski's soldiers are not effectively using their artillery that they've spent 4 minutes income on, roughly. You know, because this is roughly 4. I mean, you got to buy supply for it and stuff. It's more like 3.5, really. But, yeah, this is a lot of investment. And now he's only got 10 minutes left to get some points on the board. And he's not using it all. So, big waste, big waste. Also, these guys all being sat here, you know, move up. Take ground. Take ground. Ground is the most important thing in this game. Unless you're one of the 3 people playing Destruction. Ground is what matters. Don't just leave ground there for free. I'm not saying you need to do the whole Elan thing, you know. Just run across like no man's land and die. But you should be endeavouring to take ground. So, he is smoking. I do like the smoke. I think he really needs a second smoke mortar. All this arty needs to be firing. But yeah, I like this. It's cutting off these 2. The ones that are here can still shoot, but they are getting taken out by the ATGMs. So yeah, this is cool. I like this as well. Look, he's shooting them in the side. He's not just running in from the front. Really cool attack. I think 56 Wires invested a bit too much in planes and not enough in 2 1-vet grads, which would have been very useful. Here we go, grads out, grads out. I guess he was waiting for targets, although this one still hasn't shot, so but yeah, here we go. So lots of blue deaths, but he is taking ground for this. And he's got 10 minutes to sort this out. He's got 10 minutes to get some points on the board. These rocket planes, they're up a lot. Especially if they don't take damage. That one did. But look, it's 9:50. We should be seeing this guy in about a minute. So yeah, all his tanks are shooting. Like, this could be shooting. It's obviously really hard to micro everything at once. The mortar's run out of smoke, or he stopped smoking, which honestly can work, especially if like he's there now, so he doesn't need to smoke this, and he's got the long-range fire spot advantage. He is suffering from cluster mortars. He will lose that T-72. He will not, because they didn't both fire. Okay. This is the Wilk. It's the Polish Grand Slam T-72. It's got 2,275 meters. I believe it's the only T-72 in the game that has max meters range. It is a bit more pricey. But, like, look at that. It's not that this one is... It's not that this one's too expensive. This one is just way too cheap. Like, what? Why is there just 60-point difference there? The ERA doesn't help too much. The accuracy on the gun is always useful, but it's not a 60-point difference there. These need to be firing, really. This grad is now being committed to the fight. It's going to be a decent grad strike. He needs more infantry. Here they come. Look, it's back already, 8:30, and it was 9:40 last time, so it's less than a minute to get that back, if it doesn't get damaged, but that one did now, and we won't be seeing it for a while. He's not... Ooh, I don't know about this. So, you've got the fire support. You don't want to be doing that, because now you've got to drive your tank into the enemy AT. Having said that, Red has made a crucial mistake here, which is that none of these guys have infantry AT. The Metis can't shoot in smoke. but these, because because of the minimum range, right? And so that he can't actually stop this. So that, despite being the suboptimal play, in this case was the optimal play. So just goes to show that I don't know what I'm talking about, and you should just do what you want. And it'll work 100% of the time. So yeah, still some missed micros here. The Danners, they just should be constantly pounding people. Like, these should have been hit, that should have been hit, that should have been hit. But yeah, the CV here has been moved out the zone with 7 minutes left. Like, Frenchie is a good player, but this is like a real thing he needs to work on. His CV micro is crap. BMP2's trading with T62s. They could really use a T72 there, but he doesn't have one to spare, really. Maybe this one, given that. Okay, so the cluster mortars, they're going for it, but that's not where the zone is, right? So that, I mean, he gets a tank. That one goes down. But yeah, so he did buy a second smoke mortar. Another thing that should really be happening, you can use the 122 for this, is you shoot the enemy smoke mortars. You gotta shoot those enemy smoke mortars. Do not let them get away with this. I see a lot of people complaining about smoke, but I don't see a lot of people counter batterying the smoke mortars, especially if it's an infantry one like this. They go down easy. So there are actually 2 Belazors in here now, and that makes sense given that one's about to die. 6 minutes left. This guy can't shoot back, but him being there means that red now knows where he is, so they need to click this and get over here. And also the cluster mortars. The cluster mortars should be coming in on this immediately. And Pilsudski putting 2 in there is somewhat sensible. He's sending in the infantry, the Pycho to Zedmech. You do get a lot of them. I believe it's a 10 availability unit at no vet, which means it's 7 at 1 vet, I think. Or it might be 9, just like all the others. Either way, that is just like your turret was facing the right way at the start, therefore you have to turn less so you win. That's just life, innit? Anyway, 30 AP plane, 1 shot's 14 armor. I'm really going to drill this into your head, guys. And I really do think Frenchie just bought the wrong things here. These cluster mortars should be going in the smoke. Okay, that one is doing it now. And, he's still got time to fix this. Like, if those cluster mortars kill that T-72, then it might be lights out for blue, because there's nothing behind this. Like, he should have maybe sent this unit over here, and one of these. Like, these should all be pushed up to here, and then you can afford to send a couple of these units around here. Like the tank, for example. But it's important, obviously you don't know what's coming the other way. I've seen lots of situations where I redeploy units and then I lose that zone. But there you go, there goes that, and it's not enough. It's not enough. There's nothing coming. Is that really going to be it? I wonder if he'll drive this out before it caps. Okay, it was close. It's not enough. So what's it going to be then? Is it going to be a draw? I think it's got to be 50 points for a draw. Or is it 100? It's 5%, which is 100. So if nobody gets any points now, it's a draw. Oh, man. And draws are always good because, well, they make for good watching. But I don't know. I mean, he might win. Red might win. Although I think he's not got much of any units either. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody's got to do something in the next 4 minutes. But yeah, imagine if, like, this could have run across here, although that Scott 2 probably would have shot it. Like, both players need to play very aggressively now if they want to eke out that W. Got see lots of cheap, cost-effective units coming out here for red. Like, this is a fire support thing, right? It's just it's not an MTLB, is it? It's something else. But either way, it's got a Scratch-It just strapped to the top of it. 56Y is a really fun division. It's got a lot of funny tools. But yeah, imagine if both players had played, like, very slightly better. Then one of them would be winning, depending on which one did that. Oh, no, he could kill that. A shame, he could have got that. So, yeah, you gotta... So, I don't know. I don't know. Like, both of them are basically exhausted, but it's like there's just nothing happening here at all. If you're red, even, you could have put a guy here, put a guy here, put a guy here. Okay, there's nobody there, and then send the rest of them over here because you've got time. Because anybody who's pushing has to get through this to get to there. So you can redeploy some units, not all of it, just a couple of them. Maybe even just the transports, just something. Get a couple more units on the field. I mean, when it's a 57-point difference, the margins do matter. Imagine if Blue had used his artillery more effectively, right? He'd probably be winning now. So this is a pretty special Polish unit. It's a Polish coffin launcher. I'm really surprised we didn't see these a bit earlier, to be honest. That would have been really useful in this kind of fight, because you can put it behind this building and hit this house with indirect fire. You do have to watch out, though, because if you just press T, it will try using this, and it'll move around to do that. Sometimes it's a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, is that going to be it then? There's only 1 minute left, and both players are just playing so defensively now. Both of them just want to draw? Is that really what it's going to be? And yeah, for Frenchie's part, if he'd had that CV in here at the beginning, and if he'd brought this CV, it's not there anymore, but if he'd had that over there when he did this attack, he'd be like 1,000 points up. Or maybe 500, I mean, it depends. But he would have won. And now I think it's going to be a draw unless something happens here. Nothing's happening. Like, they're not even buying attacking units. They're buying defensive units. I guess maybe they're not looking at the clock, but yeah, crazy game. Crazy game. Do let me know what you think. I mean, is this an unbearable watch because I have a crackly voice? Maybe it is. I find it hard to understand the feedback because everybody's about as sarcastic as I am, which is very sarcastic, and that does make it harder. But yeah, this is another thing you can do. You can just get all the mortars and you can just smoke, 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 and you just get a bunch of wheeled vehicles, including the CV. You don't just do it with the CV. Like, all of these should be, I know they're tracked, but all of those should be in front of the CV, right? And you need to make sure you smoke the sides a bit, because like if there's something here, it might just shoot you. Yeah, because this isn't going to work. And then yeah, then you wheel them all in, and you just hope for the best. I mean, it's a sort of a high risk strat, but just sending the CV like that is not going to work. Although he was out of time basically, so he didn't have a chance for all this to get in. So that is a draw, comrades. So finest soldier of Pilsudski, rank 285, and Frenchie, rank 72. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what div he plays the most because sadly this doesn't work. But yeah, what can I say? So this guy Pilsudski will actually gain elo from that game because if it's a draw and you have lower elo than your opponent, you get elo because the better guy should have won, right? so yeah, GG. I think both players made a good account of themselves. I do think 56Y is too strong, although he didn't really. I mean, he used this thing, but he bought it quite late. But look how they just pay for themselves so quickly. They just pay for themselves immediately. I think they should lose the veterancy. It'll take them longer to aim. They just can't fire as fast. Then you can start worrying about how much damage it does, whatever. Because you can't just make everything 300 points if it kills people. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, GG.